Hi there. Hello, everyone, and thank you for watching our book launch and first promotional video. I'm Robert Gray, and I'm an editor at Solace Press, an independent publisher in the UK. I'm delighted to speak today with Dominika and Roxana, the editors of the anthology that we've just published, Voices on the Move, Writing by and About Refugees. I'd like to take a moment to reflect on why this project was so appealing to us at Solace Press. The collection is truly multi-genre. The book includes poems, plays, photos, cartoons, and essays. Together, these offer us different and often personal experiences of what it's like to leave one's home and to make what can often be a perilous journey to a new life. It is in these personal accounts that should make us think of today's refugees and those trapped in war zones, and to consider their anxieties in leaving their homes. It's been a joy working with the authors and the editors, and I'm sure that readers will be engaged with this book as much as we were. I have with me today Dominika and Roxana. Perhaps you could introduce yourselves, please.
Yes, hello, Robert, and thank you so much for joining us from all the way across the ocean. And mostly thank you for publishing our collection and making it into such a magnificent book. Thank you so much. You've done such a fabulous job creating this book, the object of the book too, and the way it's printed and everything. It's a work of art. So I am Dominika Radulescu, and I'm an educator, a fiction writer, a playwright, and a scholar.
Hi, everybody, and I'm Roxana Kazan. I want to echo Dominika's gratitude, Robert, to you and Solace Press. I also want to thank our audiences watching this today and in the days to come. And also, I want to feature the book here with me. I also love it, and everybody that has bought it so far has emailed to say that they love it as well. So we're super grateful. I am Roxana Kazan, and I am an independent writer and poet from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
That's great. Thank you. I really enjoyed working on the book, and I think it's such a worthwhile book to publish as well. Perhaps I could just ask you, what prompted you to conceive of the book, and how did you work together on the project?
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful question. Well, I happen to be a long-term fan of Dominika Radulescu's fiction. I discovered Dominika's novels in grad school, and I decided to focus part of my dissertation on some of them because I fell in love with the writing, and particularly with the protagonists, all exilees and refugees of sorts. And so when I had the chance to meet Dominika in person at an international conference organized in Bucharest, I just jumped at the opportunity. The conference was organized by the Society for Romanian Studies, and it brought us together through our panels, whose themes intersected over issues of migration and relocation, refuge, home, and so on. So I consider Dominika a model and a mentor. And of course, when she suggested that we work together on an issue we are both very passionate about, I was ecstatic. Working with her has only confirmed that we are sister souls living as part of the Romanian diaspora in the United States. We have also lived in communities of migrants and immigrants and refugees, and worked with people with these backgrounds. And even though our journeys have been extremely privileged, we are what they tend to call us intellectual immigrants. I think I read in a study. We came to the United States mostly to go to school. Dominika has a slightly different story, but we have both felt loss and loneliness and despair and fear in the United States. And we know that so many people feel the same.
Yes, well, to go back to our meeting in Bucharest 2 years ago, that was a very crucial event for us. We met at the time when refugee families were being brutally broken apart and kept in inhumane conditions as a result of the immoral U.S. immigration policies at that time in 2018. Yes. And our meeting was true heaven sent. We immediately clicked and connected with each other with that particular sense of recognition and familiarity that one has when you feel like you're meeting a soulmate. So talking about all the issues and topics that tormented us, we realized that indeed we were soul sisters and we had no choice but to create a project together. I also knew of Roxana before. I knew of her from social media through her poetry, a wonderful poetry, and many poetry reviews, and her lucid and sharp insights into contemporary poetry and exile literature. So it was for me as well a privilege to find out, to meet with her, to finally meet her. And it was, of course, an honor and a privilege to find out that she had written about my novels in her dissertations. But most importantly, we both felt that as engaged artists, as people who care about human rights, as immigrants ourselves, that we had an obligation to react in a way, sort of like first responders, to react to the horrors that were being perpetrated upon thousands of asylum seekers by the government of the very country where we had ourselves sought and found refuge many years ago. And we felt that the only way we know how to do this, to be first responders, is through our art and through creating communities of resisting artists.
It's really interesting. Could you perhaps tell me a little bit about the process of how you work together, editing the book and putting the collection together?
Yes, what I have to say about this, thank you for this question, is that I had co-edited several collections before with various collaborators in the past. And working with Roxana on this collection was truly my best experience of this kind ever.
Well,
our collaboration, yeah, truly. This is not an exaggeration, it's really the truth. And our collaboration was so smooth and seamless. It was a joy. It was like a beautiful dance with a partner who always guesses your next steps and knows how to take the next step. And truly, it also spoke of the power of creation that women can establish together when they work in collaboration with each other in a true sisterhood of spirit. And let me also add that Roxana worked on this collaborative project and did such an amazing work while caring for a newborn baby. And this to me is really a testimonial to the fact that women can do everything, and they do it damn well too.
It works really well. You can see the coherency in the project. Actually, it works, so it's marvelous. Sorry, Roxana, you were going to say.
Oh yeah, no, thank you, Dominika. That was really wonderful, and I want to echo everything Dominika said. And just to add, from my perspective, as a true feminist, Dominika has been a source of power and support for me in this process. I also think that we complemented each other very well, and I must say that I benefited immensely from the guidance of an experienced writer and scholar. We also responded to each other's communications and emails almost instantaneously, which I think is reassuring, when you work with somebody. And we delegated tasks very easily. We sustained each other during these trial times, especially the last year, tension-filled. The pandemic, the atrocious happenings in the United States, violence and so on. And it's been just wonderful. Thank you.
That's great. And it makes me lead on to the contributors. How did you select the contributors in the book? Because there's such a wide range of people and such a wide range of different styles and approaches and content that they've supplied. So how did you select them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I walked into this process completely inexperienced. So I had to rely on my graduate school resources, listservs, academic and non-academic platforms for calls for papers, and of course, word of mouth. We did receive a high number of submissions. We were really very glad to see the interest. And we selected the most powerful submissions submitted to us that fit the theme that we had envisioned for the anthology. And it really came together quickly and very surprisingly. Of course, there were moments at the beginning when we weren't sure, but then we were just very surprised at how beautifully it came together. And we are proud of having a community of contributors who are not just established writers, but also newer writers to the practice. So I really welcome that.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, we also did a few, we also reached out personally to several immigrant artists that we knew and that we respected and valued greatly. And we knew that they would make a significant contribution to our collection were they to accept our invitation. So this way we were able to alternate between established artists and newer artists with rising voices in the communities of exile, and thus gather great diversity of voices from different parts of the US and abroad and the world, because our contributors are really from many parts of the world, not just the US.
Yeah, no, that's marvelous. And and the contributors in the book. And what do you think? Listening and bringing sorry, let me start again about that. And what would you say is the value and importance to us today of listening to these voices and bringing to the world the voices of immigrants as expressed through artistic products in general, or and maybe in this book in particular?
Yeah, thank you for this question, Robert. This is very important issue to look at. Well, I think our collection is in fact even more valuable and pertinent now than when Roxana and I actually started putting it together in spring of 2019. And I think you can see why. With the ravages of a global pandemic now and the equally sinister ravages of social inequality and a lot of racially motivated violence, the news about the thousands of refugees waiting in an endless limbo at the southern border of the US or in many other Western countries, or the news about the profound anti-immigrant feeling and policies have been completely silenced. Nobody talks or thinks about them anymore, as if they had never existed. Yet thousands are still being kept in inhumane conditions without health care and protection from the pandemic, in a state of complete vulnerability and neglect. So we know, Roxana and I know that art has brought solace to even concentration camp prisoners in the past, to people in the midst of genocidal wars and bombardments, as some of our own histories attest to. And we really hope that this collection will bring solace to those who have felt the heart-wrenching sense of loss as a result of displacement, as well as that it will raise consciousness and inspire empathy to all those who have had the privilege to never experience such traumas.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect, Dominica. Thank you. And thank you, Robert, for the question. My personal experience in the world outside of the academia has been that literature, particularly the genre I write, poetry, tends to be fairly ignored and unread, widely speaking. But when people read a good poem, they're almost always changed and moved, and they become more open, calmer, more loving. So it was important for us that the anthology demonstrates that art should not only be consumed by the elites. Art is not something that should benefit only those who have the privilege of a formal education. Rather, any enlightened society should appreciate and create art in all its forms. Art and literature can help us become more empathetic, to live vicariously extraordinary experiences and become more responsible and ultimately better humans. Immigrants, refugees, people on the move are typically pushed to the margins of civic life and discourse, particularly as we have witnessed in the USA of the present administration. And literature can repair some of that. We have great faith in literature because it allows people to speak and it allows them representation. If we can't fix the traumas that come with migration, with laws, the insecurities about national security, excuse the repetition there, the incompetency of our leaders, the chauvinism, racism, xenophobia that they condone, at least we can use our privileges to empower those who are considered to be what Hannah Arendt calls enemy aliens.
Thanks very much to both of you. I think that was it for today, and so I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, and just remind everybody that you can read more about the book on our website, and maybe even order a copy of Voices on the Move. It's at solacepress.com, and you can just follow the links through from the front page. Thanks very much, and goodbye.
Thank you so much, Robert. Goodbye. Thank you, Roxana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.